Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Carnivore Gossip Beyond the Bariatric Bypass. On today's show, we're going to talk about comparing and contrasting the gastric bypass surgery and the gastric sleeve. So, my name is G Brown, the lifestyle changer. And approximately 11 years ago, I had the gastric sleeve. And with having the sleeve, I like to share the pros and cons of what has transpired over these 11 years in hopes that I can or we can catch you before you decide to have this surgery and tell you, no, stop, no, to get you to reconsider it. So we share, like I said, our pros and cons. Hey, D, we share our pros and cons. Then that way, you can make an informed decision. So if you know someone that's considering have the surgery, go ahead and share this live stream right now. If you know someone that's had the surgery, possibly just need some online support, go ahead and share this live with them. If you know someone, doggone it, that had the surgery and they're having some complications because it wasn't cracked up for it to be, go ahead and send them this video because we're going to tackle a lot of those topics today. We come live weekly, every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, and y'all figure out the rest of the standard times. All right, so let me just tell you real quick the difference in our surgeries, and then I'm gonna let Adrian pick it up from there and introduce herself. So with the gastric bypass, it involves creating a small pouch. I don't want to get it wrong. So a small pouch from the stomach and connecting it directly to the small intestines, bypassing a portion of the stomach and the upper part of the small intestines. So, and then it's cut down to a pouch. With the gastric sleeve, 80%, approximately 80% of my stomach has been removed, and it is in the shape of one of those miniature bananas. That's about the best visual that I can give you. And so in this show today, we're going to compare and contrast our surgeries and see what's working, what's not, what it is, what is not, and what my expectations were. My expectations were to be smaller. That was it. I just wanted, that's all I saw. And I shared that over and over and over. All I saw. Hey, all things Audra. I just wanted to be smaller. And then with being smaller, maybe I didn't have some issues, but I did not have hypertension, high blood pressure. I didn't have, as they call when I was growing up, sugar, diabetes. I didn't have I didn't have high blood pressure. I had none of those ailments. I was just big, not realizing there were some other things that were going on with me, but the typical, what they check for, my cholesterol was good, my blood pressure was good, my sugar was good. So I didn't have those. I had the surgery. I developed high blood pressure, and a whole bunch of other ailments came after that. What about you, Adrian?
Well, I would like to show just because mine is so weird.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to show. Okay. So here's what my surgery looks like. I had the gastric bypass. They call it the Roux-en-Y. And you can see they cut off part of my stomach but they left it. And then they reattached that and part of my intestine way down quite a bit away. So I lost quite a bit of intestine. And the point there was with less intestine, there's less absorption. So my thought was going to be that I was going to be able to eat and some of that not be absorbed because it seemed to me like my body was over absorbing food. I was eating the same food, maybe even diet foods, but I was gaining weight and nobody else that was around me. So it seemed to make sense to me that I should absorb less and then I will lose weight. So they created this little pouch here. And by reducing my stomach size, I was supposed to be able to eat less and then absorb less. And so it was supposed to be a faster weight loss. Also, with the absorption piece, it was supposed to be like more of a long-term weight loss, because even if, let's say, I went back into my regular eating, it was supposed to not have that absorption. So that's what my crazy surgery was.
Okay. Well, what are some of your pros and cons?
Oh, oh, I don't think, did I stop sharing? Sorry. Okay, hold on.
Okay. That's okay.
Let me share one more time. Sorry, I'm new at the sharing.
That's all right.
Okay, so you're supposed to have faster weight loss. It's supposed to improve some of your conditions, like diabetes and sleep apnea and blood pressure. And those would be things that would just, the surgery itself wouldn't fix those, just the weight loss that you would have would fix those. And that weight loss would also improve the quality of your life so you could move again. And that just having that reduced weight would reduce your anxiety and your depression. It would make you feel better about yourself. um, it's, because of the malabsorption in the smaller pouch, it's supposed to create um, long-term weight loss. And then it's supposed to give you kind of a hormone reset. It's supposed to reset those hunger cues that are off. So those are some of the benefits. And then did you say some of the cons?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you can get something called dumping syndrome because you're missing because part of your intestine is off to the side. Food gets into your digestion so fast that if you eat certain things, they can just go right through you, and that can make you nauseous, dizzy, or have diarrhea or whatever. I've actually never had dumping that I can think of. The low blood sugar, though, that's a very common one. And when I went to do the research, it said only up to 10% of people are having this, but I believe it's a lot more just because of the people that I have personally met who have told me they are struggling exactly as I am. And then there's malnutrition due to the less absorption. So maybe, so the malabsorption actually goes away pretty quickly. Within a few months, your body resets. But for lifelong, you have issues absorbing nutrients because that beginning part of your intestine is where you absorb these fat soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. And you're also going to have issues absorbing vitamin B12, folate, calcium, vitamin D, and iron. Um, I know I've personally experienced the next one, which is, if, let's say, I was eating hamburger and it got stuck, or I ate something and it got stuck, it would sit there because it's stuck, cause you a ton of pain, and eventually you would have to vomit. You can get ulcers pretty easily because now the lining of the stomach pouch that you're left with, it's pretty sensitive. So I've never been able to have any more ibuprofen since my surgery. You have to be careful with all kinds of things that are common for other people to consume. But for me now, because of the part of my stomach that's left, it can easily get holes in it. And I know people who've gotten holes and who have had to have repair of their ulcers. You can get a bowel obstruction, hernias, and I'm sure that there's more. I want to talk about two things that this surgery doesn't help that also affect your weight loss would be things like autoimmune conditions like Hashimoto's, and if you're having the attack of your adrenals and your rheumatoid arthritis and just, other chronic inflammatory response syndrome, this isn't going to help that at all. And you're still going to have those conditions. And then another one that people aren't talking about, it's not talked about enough, and I'm hoping we can get this one doctor on to talk about this, is lipedema. That's when your body encapsulates fat cells and your body can't access those fat cells. So even if you have weight loss surgery, you're at a calorie deficit, your body can't access that fat cell to use that energy and extinguish it. So you're still going to have lipedema. And I've heard some instances where your lipedema actually gets worse because you've done a surgery and it flares that condition. So these are some things that it's not going to help with.
Hey, go back one screen for me.
I don't
Because
know how to do that.
there we go. That's it. No, because I was led to believe that the dumping was me, it like eating too fast or anything, and I end up vomiting because you're dumping it out. So that's what was explained to me. And yes, you can't get uh, nausea or dizzy with that, which would, so I would put nausea, dizziness, and vomiting all together. And 11 years later, I still have a dumping episode if I eat too much. Because with the carnivore diet, you eat to satiation. But the thing is that we can't do that. It still tastes good. And so you want to eat, but then there are times where I put some food in my mouth and I know I talk to myself, if you swallow this, you're going to throw up. So I end up having to, spit it out. On the other page, you had, girl, you closed it out. Wait a minute. You had,
Oh,
that's okay. That's okay.
sorry.
That's okay. No, because I wanted to, that was some really good research. Hold on, let me pop it back up real quick. So significant weight loss, that's one of the things talked about that, no, not that one. Go to, was it, let me see. Yeah, now you go to, oh, no, right. Well, I wanted to talk about that, those vitamins, because they are actually produced in your, right here is fine. They are actually produced in that part of your stomach that has been bypassed. And so that's why, and it sounds good. It's the same way when they came out with that pill, I think it was Olace or something like that, where, and they even fried potato chips and stuff in it. And so as you're taking this, your body is not absorbing the fat and oil and you're pooping it out type thing. The one thing that you needed, you were actually trying not to absorb it and poop it out, because they have led us to believe that the fat and from red meat and saturated fat is not good for us, but that is the actual thing that helps put everything in line and in order. I can see the low blood sugar with that, because yes, I would eat, and because you have not changed your eating habits. That's the thing. You got a smaller stomach, so you feel that you can continue to eat just smaller amounts. And I'm telling you, that does not work. And those people that have had the surgery, and well, if they're going to the gym and they're doing all these things and they have a calorie deficit, and they say they're happy, but I promise you, if you could turn around and maintain your body weight, and you could turn around and have all the nutrients that you need, become medication free, pain free, all these other things, I promise you, you will pick that over that diet, exercise, and that running like a rat on a wheel. You really would. So ulcers is another thing. So let me not mislead anyone. On the carnivore diet, the one thing that I still deal with is I'm gonna say reflux, because no, that's fine. You're good now. I'm gonna say reflux because with acid reflux of what I experience, I don't get the coming up and the burning. My burning takes place like at the base of the stomach here down, and that burn is there. And so I promise you, it, it doesn't feel good. There are ways for me to get around it. The problem is I have to think about eating. I shared with Adrian prior to coming live, is that yesterday I probably had 2 strips of bacon, a third cup of lamb bites the entire day. I don't even recall drinking. Normally, I have a minimum 3 to 4 of these a day. I don't recall finishing one yesterday. The day before that, and sometimes people would look at me saying the day before that, I probably didn't even have a cup of food that entire day. Number one, I don't get hungry. So the ghrelin portion was cut off from my stomach. So those growls, all of that, I don't get that at all. So I've been so busy with life over the last couple of days that food I did not think about. That's why I share with you guys that I need to put in my phone to remind me to eat. Now, the scale did not change. So I feel with what I'm doing to my body is kind of slowing down, and this is the time that my hair won't grow, my nails won't grow, because it's reserving, because I'm not treating it right. What about you, Adrian?
What's not on this list is it says that it's going to reset kind of your hunger cues and your metabolism for my surgery. But what it doesn't talk about is that eating those baby portions and
Hmm.
exercising or not, just eating those baby portions is going to kill your metabolism. There's no
Hmm.
ifs, ands, or buts about it, which is why this is not a long term thing that you could possibly do even if you continue to eat little baby portions because your pouch continues to let you have that, which I've been in a lot of groups and that goes away. That feeling of, "Ooh, I can't eat anymore." You can get it to come and go depending on doing certain resets and certain techniques, but that can go away and you can eat a large amount of food. But eating that tiny amount of food is just like in the standard American diet is going to, your body's going to say, "Hey, I'm in starvation mode," and it's going to slow itself down, which is what happened to me. So I'm running, I'm following the diet to a T, and my metabolism shuts down and I start gaining weight and I'm eating
Hmm.
little tiny, tiny, tiny portions. Another thing it doesn't talk about is the fact that ever since I've had this surgery, I've had hypoglycemia, which means my body is in hyperinsulin. Every time I'm eating, my body's attacking that with insulin. It's just flowing tons and tons of insulin because it's all off. And the insulin is the fat storage hormone. So we've triggered the fat storage hormone, and nobody talks about this. So those are two things that aren't on the list that I've personally experienced. And then I've obviously experienced the hypoglycemia can be debilitating. I mean, it's difficult to work out when you don't know if you're going to pass out. It's
Mm.
difficult to work. It's difficult to go to the grocery store. It's difficult to drive your kids to school. It's difficult to leave your home because you don't know if you need to get in bed because you're going to have low blood sugar. And the problem here wasn't just the mechanics of the blood sugar. It's also that it kind of, for me, inflamed my hormones. And so I was even getting this hypoglycemia from stress because my hormones were so far off.
Hmm.
Another thing it doesn't talk about is how any surgical procedure can cause your body to go into hyperinflammation. It can
Hmm.
trigger an inflammation response that you just can't seem to shut off, like chronic inflammatory response syndrome. Surgeries can trigger this, and this surgery was one of my trigger events. We're going to interview a lady next week who's going to tell us about, she had, I think it was the gastric sleeve, and she's going to tell us about the side effects that she had. But Gee, I have a question. When you talk to other people who've had the sleeve, do they say that they also still don't have that hunger? Because I know a lot of people who've had the sleeve who weren't able to lose like any weight at all.
That's an excellent question. So first of all, let's go back 11 or so years ago. I didn't tell anyone that I had the sleeve. I was ashamed to have the surgery. And here's why. I felt like for all the diets that I tried, from like, I always say the cabbage soup diet, that is probably the one between that and the egg diet. It's probably the ones that I alternated back and forth and did multiple times. And the reason why I didn't tell anyone is because I wanted to be smaller. I felt that was a little vain. And I didn't want the judgment. I didn't want to have to go off on people. Forget your judgment. I just didn't want to have to turn around and tell you to mind your business. And so then how do I say mind your business if I told you my business? So I didn't. And the main reason why I didn't also was I didn't want my mother to know. So my mother died not knowing that I had this surgery, all because of the shame that I felt that I could not lose weight on my own. And I know there's some people out there that feel the exact same way. It's like, oh my God, it goes right back to the food that we're putting in our bodies, that whether you're putting it in your body in this portion, or this portion, it's not meant for you to have it in any portion, which is throwing your body off, which is making you feel bad. And, a lot of times people say, well, I really don't eat that much. But then we're looking at your butt this big and you're eating something, but it doesn't take much to throw you off. And it doesn't take much for the spiral. And it doesn't take much for you to start feeling bad. And then you look at the scale and you look at where you want it to be. Because back when you remember when you were at least 190 pounds, that where you are now in the two, possibly close to the 300s, that you'll give an arm and a leg to be back in the 190s again. But just think, when you were in the 190s, that was big to you, but now you want to be there. And we're saying that it is all connected with your food. And so I really didn't talk to people that had the gastric sleeve because I was keeping it a secret. And now my mom is gone for 2 years now, and I don't mind talking about it. So because I never wanted her to worry. Your mom worries if you go into a surgery. So the couple of people that knew was my husband and my daughter, that they knew that I was having a surgery. So I really did not have these conversations. I'm starting to have the conversations now with people, and this is how I'm finding out. And there's been a couple of people that say that they don't get that hunger trigger the way that I do. But when I say to you, uh, my signals now for my body is the acid in my stomach. And so sometimes I'll just put something in my mouth to give the acid something to do besides bubbling to come back up. That works for me as well. I know that that is one of the things. So when it talks about hunger hormones, for the bypass, the one you had, it alters the production of gut hormones such as ghrelin, which can reduce the appetite and hunger sensations. And for, like I said, for me with the sleeve, it reduces the ghrelin levels. But I believe that that hormone was actually cut all the way off for me, because it's not a decrease in appetite. It is, I literally just have to think about some food and what am I willing to eat right now? What do I have a taste for? Because you really don't have that type of satisfaction. That's just been my uh uh experience with it. So I know also for the gastric bypass, it can result in more severe nutritional deficiencies due to the malabsorption that you spoke about, requiring lifelong vitamins and minerals. Tell us about what is that like for you?
So I've had to have iron infusions, and now I'm on a carnivore diet, so I am eating this rich, dense food. And even taking my supplements, I don't know if anybody follows me on social media, but I take like hundreds. I take a lot of supplements, and I wish that they were absorbing, but they just they're just I make it very expensive pee, I think. But I'm trying, so I'm doing the diet, I'm doing the supplements. It's still not working. So I have gotten iron infusions. They make me feel a lot better. But like this last time, I tried so hard to absorb it myself and work on my gut health, but I lost half my hair. I mean, I literally lost half of my hair, and it was very upsetting. And the only thing is, I believe we can heal. I believe it can grow back. I believe I'm on the right path now. I believe that it'll be okay. And I still have enough hair to feel beautiful. Let's see here. What else? So I had the anemia. Another thing people don't talk about is muscle loss. I feel like I did it the right way. I was exercising and I was eating the diet they told us to, but a lot of people are coming into this just too heavy to exercise. And people need to give themselves some grace, because it is true. Like if you're 250, 300 pounds, you could hurt yourself if you over exercise. Not only could you hurt your hormones, but you could literally hurt your body. And so people have to start with the diet first. But
Hmm.
unfortunately, because we're eating such baby portions, your body is eating its own muscle, and you lose a ton of muscle, which is why people now they're calling it Ozempic face. It's very common, and that's no good. That alone, losing all that muscle, slows your metabolism down, on top of going into starvation mode and hurting your hormones. So all that muscle loss is a horrible thing. And I've seen some people who just never seem to recover. They just look very rickety. They look unhealthy, you know. I too, I didn't, I mean, I'm a blabbermouth. I did tell people who were around me I was having the surgery, but I never posted anything on social media. And the sad thing is, I think that people around were just like, oh, she's finally eating the way she should because she's overweight. So she shouldn't eat. She should be eating baby portions. I think that's so sad that people think that they think people who are overweight need to eat baby portions like they did something wrong. And really, it's your metabolism. It's the way your body's metabolizing. And we should all be able to eat to satiation, which is why I love the carnivore diet.
I know. For me, going out was the worst because with just my husband and I, Frederick and I, all was well. But then if we wanted to double date or anything like that, my portions. So it's like I would order and then I know I can't finish it. So I would turn around and have to say, oh, wait. I would ask for a to-go container and tell them how I was trying to do portion control. And then I would split everything in half and put it inside of, still couldn't finish what was left on the plate. And then the waiters and stuff would think I didn't like the food. And it's hush hush on the fact that I have a small stomach. So I can't say any of that. And then here's what even worse. I tell you I have a small stomach with my fat tail sitting in this chair. And so that was even worse. Here I am, 200 pounds. I'm like, oh, I got a small stomach. No, I'm not even saying that to anybody. And so here you are eating, and then comes the burping. Oh my God. After I would finish eating, I had, if it was a good time, 15 minutes, but on average, 20 to 25 minutes that I sat there and I burped and I burped and I burped. And then I'm talking, I'm like, excuse me, and then wait, here's the sad part because, when you do a belch, a belch is one of those really good belches. For me, it's a little burp because the stomach is this big. So it's like it's almost letting out little poops. So the burps are like little bitty poops, little poop, poop, poop. But it's like, and my husband is like, you just can't get it all out. No, because where it's coming from is something that's this size. This is how much air is coming through, and it's building right back up and going out again and building up and going. Yeah, it was a hot mess to go out. That is another downside of this surgery, and it's still like that. But at least now I get to burp at home. And honestly, since I have been eating a all meat diet, that has not been a really big issue. When it comes into play is when I don't eat. So I know without a shadow of a doubt, when I take in this first meal, but no, I actually ate this morning. I cooked breakfast for my grandson. So I did a little eating this morning. It was a small amount. I did not do a lot of burping now that I think about it. If I do a small amount, it kind of controls the acid in the stomach. And then we move forward a little bit. And I wanted to touch on Stephanie really quick. I had put her comment up. And we appreciate you, Stephanie. 16 years ago. So yours is longer than ours. And yes, like all of us, gain that weight back. Just like you, we wish we had started carnivore before the surgery. But so let me just talk about the hair loss and the teeth in regards to not taking your medicine. Yes, just like even when you're pregnant, where the baby pulls the nutrients, and a lot of times pregnant women end up with cavities and stuff like that because the baby is pulling those nutrients. I did have hair thinning, so to speak. And that's when I decided to cut my hair off and just wear it really short, because anytime I had length, you go to wash it and I'm pulling out hairballs like this. And I'm like, oh my God, at this rate, I'm going to have a big bald spot in the back. And, oh my goodness, what are we doing? So I didn't want that to happen. Now I will say, when I started carnivore, because I'm not taking in how I need to, that is something. Like my nails don't grow as fast as they used to, and my hair wasn't growing as fast as it used to. So that's when I started the collagen and the bone broth. And now, up under this, trust me, you'll see it next week. I won't have anything cover my head. I just need to get my hair done. It's going to be it's growing, and now my nails are, to remind me, they're more like hoofs now. It's like they're really strong. I'm like, oh my God, do carnivore make me like I'm gonna go out here and tear some flesh or something? What about you?
So another thing people don't seem to talk about, and I'm sure that this is the same with both surgeries, is that when you're cutting into the stomach, you are affecting your stomach acid and your gut biome. And, that can also, for both of us, affect our absorption of nutrients. But also, I've had chronic constipation. I don't know, just chronic. There was just nothing until carnivore. And then you were talking about the throwing up. With the way that the stomach is, if it makes it past that small pouch, there's, I don't think it's coming back up. There's no throwing up once it gets back that pouch. So, I mean, that's actually a benefit. I've also
Mm-hmm.
had almost no acid reflux because I think so much of the acid is down further.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another, we didn't really talk on there, I guess I haven't talked too much about my weight gain. So I got down to 165 and I was looking at my charts within months. I was back up to 175, just like the biggest loser, just like the standard dieting I was doing, but I was still doing the things. I've been sober for 10 years. So there was no alcohol here. I couldn't have sugar because of my hypoglycemia. So I'm not dipping back into, you know, the ditch, they call it. It's just the weight just started coming back up. And I think it was because this didn't cure. Before my surgery, I don't think they ran any antibody tests or any of the in depth thyroid panels because they would have found that I have Hashimoto's. And this doesn't cure Hashimoto's. And so that affects your hormones. I've also heard people say that our gut is a brain and it has more sensors in it to the rest of our body than they say it's a brain. So I like what you said on the last show. If your eyeball's broken, you wouldn't cut your eyeball, like you wouldn't remove your eyeball. So when our stomach is broken, it's just weird that we would be like, you know what, let's just chop that baby apart. What because so now I've asked people, the surgeons, and they've said, when you cut into that stomach, we don't know what your side effects will be because we don't know for you which hormones are going to be affected. So it's
Right.
just crazy that we're more things people. So I got up to 175 and it just kept creeping up and it was just a constant fight. So I've been doing the running and restricting for 10 years, trying my butt off to keep this weight off. But I've had three pregnancies in this time. One I lost at 20 weeks. I have no idea. I went to the surgeon and I asked him, could it be from the surgery? And he had no answers. There's no research into pregnancy after surgery, but I did have that very late loss. And then my other ones, they were perfectly healthy size, but I did have anemia. I needed to get iron infusions. And yeah, I forgot where I was going to go with that. Sorry, still a little brain foggy from the chronic inflammatory response syndrome, which it also does not cure.
I think you're gonna do hold on. I think you're going to do much better because I know that you've transitioned over to the lion diet. And in the
Yeah.
lion diet, that is going to for me, I'm just carnivore. That's what works for me. And I think because I've been a food manipulator, it's there wasn't a food that I did not like. And I can eat the variety of pork and lamb and fish and beef and organ meat. I can do all. Matter of fact, I grew up on beef brains. So my mom, yeah, my mom, I have a variety history with food. The thing is that making the choice and the change for the carnivore diet, for me, it actually was easy because of the variety I can eat. But once you get over into this lifestyle, You become the true captain of your ship. That's what I love. So I've been experiencing some headaches. Well, I just told you I wasn't taking in a lot of food. And I just thought about this right now. I am not kidding. And so on our Monday show, I'm on a panel with a nurse of over 20 years. So she's like my private nurse now. And I reached out to her and she told me to put some Celtic salt under my tongue, and it did help. So that says to me, it could be my electrolytes, just everything. Because keep in mind, I take in zero carbs, no carbs whatsoever. Well, let me change that. Every now and then I might have, in the last past, right at 300 days, I've probably had jalapenos, I'm gonna say 10 times. Uh, and the other thing, I know it could be a little bit of something in cheese. I might have cheese once a month, if that. Maybe I'll have it this week and next week, but then I won't have it again. So it's not like something that I just have. So my body operates off of my fat, and you and I were talking about that. You sent me the video because I can run my hand across my arms and it feels like cottage cheese under there. And as a matter of fact, under my arm, I did a show on it as well, where I have, oh, wait, look at there, because I did my hands like that. Under my arm, there is a nodule under my arm that I had an ultrasound done on it, and that little duck. So I bought me I guess they call it a rebounder. Baby, it's a little trampoline. And when I tell you I am bouncing and having a good time, this is the great part of the carnivore diet. You take, like, you're the captain of your ship. This is your body. And so you fine tune what works for you. And what I love is that this works for me and the lion is working for you. Tell us about that.
So So I was struggling with weight, so I go carnivore. I also was having a lot of autoimmune issues, and so my dad said, "You need to try carnivore," because every time I was eating, I was also getting sick, like a lot of food sensitivities. And it was a switch because I was told that we need to eat mostly vegetables and just a tiny bit of meat. So that's what I've been doing for the past 10 years is
Now,
mostly low glycemic vegetables and a tiny bit of meat. What were you gonna say?
now I was going to say, my doctor, when I went to my nutritionist, she said, start with your protein first. Get the
Oh,
protein
well, you
in.
have a good doctor.
No, because the protein was chicken. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was nowhere close to red meat, but they told me to fill up on that first and then whatever was left.
And my diet was low fat. It
Yep.
was very low fat, which is maybe why I have so many hormone issues. But so I switched to carnivore, and there's another thing that is a side effect. There are a lot of side effects. With everything, there's cross addiction. So we're eating, and some most people, a lot of people who are overweight have an emotional bond to eating. I honestly feel like everybody does. But so when I was going through mine, I actually went to the Emily program, which is an eating disorder clinic, and that therapy was fantastic. But of course, it was expensive, so it ended.
Hmm.
So the food addiction was still there, and we're eating everything in moderation. It's so triggering to be eating these health foods that were created to be addicting. So
Hmm.
when I switched to carnivore, it was just such a relief. Like, I'm full. These foods are not addicting to me except for the dairy, and the pork rinds. There's a few addicting foods in here, but for the most part, that was a huge benefit. And then my weight dropped. When I started the carnivore diet, I was 202 pounds, and this morning I was 156. So doing good, maintaining it. I lost this weight last summer in July. So I've been maintaining this for, like, what is this, 9 months? I'm not even doing the math. Sorry, guys. And then I recently switched to the lion diet because of my autoimmune illness and because of all those. I was still eating so much dairy. I had let the sweetener back in, the artificial, like monk fruit. I had let monk fruit and stevia back in. So I'm doing lion right now, and it's fantastic. I have no food sensitivities. I get to be full constantly. My weight is completely flatlined. I mean, I'm tracking what I'm eating, and I'm eating sometimes 1,700 calories, sometimes 2,700. and my weight has just, so it's great. You get to eat, you get to be full. The a lot of the food in your brain gone. I'm cooking picanha right now. Have you had it? It's amazing. It's my favorite.
Actually, no, I haven't. Someone, I think I need to know how to fix it first, to prepare it. But I want to touch on something that you just said, because a lot of time weight is an issue. At my heaviest, I was 260, and if you guys look at the thumbnail, you'll see pictures of us with some real before and afters. And I didn't stand on the scale this morning, but normally I get on the scale first thing in the morning. But I know last night, just for the sake of it, I got on, and I was, look, I'm up to 141 because I was down to 140, but I was at 141. And I know that has more to do with the fact that I'm not eating. And so my body is truly at a standstill. And so if I want that scale to go down, I have to be purposeful about the amount of fat that I take in, the amount of food that I take in. And so, um, I wanted to last hit, because we won't hold the people any longer. We don't have any questions in the comment section. So reversibility, I did a little bit on that. The gastric bypass, while possible to reverse or no, revise or reverse, it is a more complex procedure compared to the gastric sleeve reversal and may carry additional risk. So yours is still in there. And that's another thing that messed my head up. I said, wait a minute. So they're going to detach my stomach and it's just going to float around in me. So that was the thing that got me. And so for some reason, I thought that sleeve was the end. And for me, it can be partially reversed by converting to another weight loss surgery, such as the gastric bypass. So
Um,
why would I go and want to now? Yeah, but I won't grow my stomach back. But because our stomach is a muscle, I'll touch on what you said earlier. When I am on vacation, and normally it's on a cruise ship, and I did not have to cook the food, I say that I eat so much more food on the ship, and I probably eat 4 to 6 times. Yeah, I'll go, and so when that happens, I don't suffer with the acid in my stomach. It's almost as if I gave my stomach acid something to do. It's happy with it, and it just works like a well-oiled machine. I get home, nobody's in there cooking for me, saying, come get this, come get that. Even if I decide to do a crock pot type recipe, and it's there, sometimes I get tired of smelling it. So my best eating is on vacation. I go in, I give them my list of how my food is to be prepared and all of that, and I'm easy. Just give me some meat. Just give me some meat. Well, listen, we want to thank everybody. You have anything else you want to add?
yeah, one more thing. And we're
Oh, I
definitely
do
going to
want
do
to.
an
I've meant to talk on that alcohol too. Yeah.
Oh, we're definitely going to do an episode. Oh, yeah, there's more side effects we could go into, which are divorce is very common after
Hmm.
surgery, as well as cross-addicting to alcohol. Around here, we have some pretty amazing rehab centers, and for a while, they had special wings for the gastric bypass and the sleeve surgery people because of their dietary stuff and their different things they have going on, just because it's so prevalent to become to you've never had an issue with alcohol in your life. And after the surgery, not only the cross addiction, but also the new mechanics of your stomach. I also want to say, we'll have an episode for sure on the carnivore diet, but I just want to say, this surgery doesn't heal so many things, but the carnivore diet does. And part of the reason I'm doing Lion is because I want to heal my hormones. I want to heal my metabolism. I want to heal my gut. So there's a lot more healing and a lot more sustainability here. But I really appreciate everybody who tuned in. If you have any comments or questions, please send them to us. We'll have them on the next episode. I know 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern isn't the best time for everybody, but we're happy to do follow up.
Yep, that's true. And I agree with you with the alcohol because that was, thank you, D. Lee. That was something in regards to me because it was something simple. I can just sit and sip and not overwhelm my stomach. So I didn't have to go to rehab over it, but I found myself, first of all, I didn't start drinking until about 20 years ago. Let's start right there. So I was well into, like, I guess my 40s, and where I started dabbling with alcohol. And later on, shoot, I became a pro with wine, but
I
all
was
is
a
well
whiner.
now.
I love
So
wine.
tell us about our next show, and then we're going to end it here.
Oh, I'm so excited for our next show. We are interviewing Audra. Audra had the gastric sleeve, and there was some pretty significant complications, but she has healed. She has moved on. She has found a way to continue on with life. So there's a lot of hope in her story, and she's just a beautiful human being. So I'm really excited about this.
All right, so tune in next week, everyone. We love and appreciate you, and we will see you then. Have a
Thank
great
you.